Hello, dear friends. If you want something you have never had, you must do something you have never done. Thomas Jefferson. The privilege of service is a gift. The power to labor is a blessing. The love of a profession is success. David O. McKay. Opinion piece. Hidden history. Nothing will be the same as before. Independent thinkers. It looks like it's business as usual. You can't see what is going on, but there is a hidden struggle. Will the system self-destruct? We fight for our freedom. The humankind's potential is infinite. You are so much more than you think. The rising light shows the truth. Let's start. Many feel as if nothing is changing. It seems that the same old people are still in charge and controlling events around the world, because not everything that is happening is being seen. Every day are new awakened living beings. They are new awakened living beings who are fed up with being dictated in how we live our lives, says Peter B. Mayer. Planet Earth is now completely sealed off by our cosmic brethren, with their great star fleet still invisible. No creature can escape the Earth's atmosphere without permission. Those who wanted to flee to Mars were sent back. All bases on the Moon and Mars are in Federation hands and inaccessible to the clique elites. In the meantime, much has been achieved, but little has been published. Planet Earth is in a rapid process of transformation. The clique leaders are trying to escape in a hurry. They know they have lost their battle for the planet. Only the puppets of the lower levels are still trying to take over, which is no longer successful. The plan to wipe out 90% of the population and then lock up the rest in special labor camps has been thwarted. The foundations of the new world are based on gratitude, joy, and helping others. Independent thinkers. The origin of life on Earth goes farther back in time than is known. The first recorded act began beyond the borders of this planet and traveled through the stellar realms, when visitors from the stars greeted the pre-existing civilizations of Mu, Atlantis, and Lemuria. In 1882, the scholar Ignatius Donnelly wrote that the gods of the ancient mythologies were actually kings and queens of Atlantis. This was a high-tech pre-flood civilization and the founder of successive civilizations and humankind. The British chemist Frederick Soddy discovered that isotopes could be used for dating in geology and wrote in 1909, in quotes, "I believe that there have been civilizations in the past which knew atomic energy and were totally destroyed by its misuse." Swiss author Erich von Däniken wrote very popular and controversial books about ancient astronauts in the 70s. Colonization. Today's humankind developed as a source of labor for a colonizing civilization, and this seems to have continued to the present day. In order to maintain power over humankind, some civilizations more advanced in their technology became our jailers, as they caused conflicts that resulted in constant physical hardship. This situation has existed for many thousands of years and still exists. It is the immense and ancient power of this elite that has tried throughout history to suppress any significant development of the humankind's potential, the knowledge of which is rooted in the higher grades of the secret societies. We could have freed ourselves from our slavery a long time ago, were it not for the fact that the masses are still sleeping. People have to fight for their own freedom, otherwise they would be worthless. In time, the followers will fall, and the independent thinkers will triumph. The speed of completion of this last phase depends on the timing and extent of the mass awakening of the villages, of the peoples. Will the system self-destruct? Humankind has reached the end of the great cycle of experience in duality. We are on the fourth dimensional bridge connecting a third dimensional world with the fifth dimensional world, where all will be rebuilt, says Viral Frosi. The experience of incarnated souls here is not a game. On the contrary, it is a learning experience so great that there is no other like it in this galaxy. So true that only the brave souls are qualified to attend this school. We have now come to the moment of revelation that will bring truth as revelation, as Apocalypse said. All that was hidden will become crystal clear. It is the most awaited moment for all souls who are part of the Great Earth family. The system will destroy itself, but what is this system? Actually, there is no way to describe it in a single word. The system has been everything since the beginning of humankind. The trials, tribulations, and aggravations produced by dark races that came here later. With the arrival of such races, the system was reformed and made even more difficult. The learning of incarnated souls went to a much greater degree of difficulty, for these races subjected humankind according to their interests. But everything always has a purpose according to the laws that govern the universe. We have finally come to the end of this great cycle of reconciliation and tribulation. Planet Earth has entered a higher octave in the galactic spiral, and this changes the energetic vibration and also the frequency of light coming to Earth. Then nothing will be the same as before. Revelation. The history of humankind will be revealed. The truth will be shown and the fable will be exposed. At last, you will know what are not a limited human being, that you have other eyes spread across infinite universes, that these versions of yourself are also God's, for all is always one with Source. Source is all there is, for it creates infinitely, whether souls of countless worlds. Therein lies our origin and our truth. You are so much more than you think you are. It is the illusion of the third dimension and the thick veil that limits consciousness that has made you believe that you are this limited being. It is this limitation that has taught you what is it to live and feel in the state of being away from Source. It is the time of the end of this cycle, announced by the Master, also called Christ, because his energy is crystal. That is, not of the carbon-based world, but of higher worlds. As he himself said, "My kingdom is not of this world." The prophesied return of the Savior is nothing other than the change from carbon-based energy to crystalline energy. Everything here on earth will be Christ-based, that is, crystalline. The consciousness of Gaia, of the kingdoms, and above all the living beings, will be transparent, as it is in the higher dimensions. Christos is a Greek term meaning anointed one, equivalent to the Hebrew Mashiach or Messiah, and is used as a title or epithet for Jesus of Nazareth. In our language, a Christ means a mess and uproar, or a person who presents a pitiful state as the image of the crucified one, or as the spiritual state of humankind today. Alchemical gold evokes divine love, as it symbolizes all that is higher glorification. All is light. The increase of light will show the truth. Consciousness expanded as a function of this gamma light will vibrate at 5D frequencies and reveal that which was hidden. Truth is nothing other than pure light and true love. The consciousness that forms our being is pure light. Therefore, when our fractional souls ascend here in 3D to dimensions beyond 12D, the form begins to disappear and only a consciousness of light remains. For now, we are standing on the bridge that separates the 3D from the 5D. This crossing is very important because those who do not have the necessary frequency to open that portal will not be able to cross the bridge. This means that they do not yet have a higher energy. In other words, they do not yet have the frequency that will elevate them. Remember that ascending means going upwards. The revelation of truth will show that the earth has offered an experience of what is to live in illusion, and all the systems we have known thus far have been nothing more than platforms that offer the opportunity to experience this illusion. Therefore, the system will destroy itself. Many expect forces from other planets and other stars to come and save humankind. They will not do so directly. That will is the increase. What will is the increase of light. Light shows and reveals all. Then each humankind's consciousness, to the extent that it is enlightened, will make the individual process of ascension. It is obvious that those whose veils are still very thick will have the greatest difficulty, for a large portion of humankind does not yet have the necessary prerequisites to dissolve these veils. The positive forces are doing their part. This includes controlling the entry of gamma light into our planet, so that the process is as smooth and peaceful as possible. Everything that is not up to the humankind will be done by them, but what is up to us is our responsibility to fix. Moreover, the changes will not be sudden but gradual, because it would be disastrous to do everything suddenly. But everything is accelerating now. We are at the bridge, and here ends a cycle that corresponds to a world of penance and testing for all those who have learned the lessons. The system that sustained and guided everything up to the bridge is now destroying itself. At last, we have come to the period of revelations. We have waited for this for a long time. Let us vibrate in joy and confidence, for any difficulty is but exhaustion at the end of the long marathon. I am Vital Frosty, and my mission is enlightenment. Interregno. The elimination of the higher ranks of the Knights of Malta by the Vatican means that the entire leadership has been changed. A purge is also taking place within Vatican City. This is causing a leadership vacuum as the economic system collapses, says Benjamin Fulford. He adds that there is a possibility that most Western governments will collapse before the end of the month. That's because the Russians have cut off the flow of gas to Europe, while the rest of the world has also stopped sending oil to the region. the cutoff could lead to the shutdown of most industries in Western Europe. For example, high energy prices threaten to close 60% of UK factories. To cope with this situation, it seems that the UK government has started to use Tesla's previously banned technology, as a recent photograph of Tesla coils taken in England shows. Other countries may have to follow suit. The closure of the Nord Stream 1 pipeline to Germany has been widely reported, but it would only be the tip of the iceberg. However, Spain leads in July and August in imports of liquefied natural gas from Russia, despite political statements, in addition to the gas it receives from Africa. So far, it has not been reported or confirmed that a Russian submarine allegedly entered the Mediterranean last week and cut off a pipeline sending fuel to France from Algeria, say P3 sources. In this context, mass demonstrations continue across Europe, especially in the Czech Republic and France. The situation has reached the point where Germany has created a new military unit to patrol the streets and enforce martial law, starting on 1st October in anticipation of civil unrest. Europe. The euro has now closed below parity with the dollar in international trade. We are seeing the implosion of the euro. There is much talk of Ireland, Scotland, and other countries leaving the euro, and much talk of Germany. Europe is suffering under the Russian gas cutoff. Europe is struggling to contain an energy crisis that could lead to rolling blackouts, factory closures, and a deep recession. Europe braces for recession as it struggles with the rising cost of living. Russian oil giant Gazprom taunts the West with sinister video showing Europe freezing over, according to the Daily Mail. Pure black humor. In this context, there is a very real likelihood that the European Union and most European governments will collapse. The gas cutoff could lead to the shutdown of most industries in Western Europe. Germany will suspend the use of mussels on flights. Lufthansa reaches a wage agreement with pilots, and this week's strike is called off. Spain. Iberia Express crew strike ends with 60 flights cancelled. Spain refuses to cap food prices. Spain's water reserve continues to fall, dropping by 0.9% to 35% of its capacity, following the absurd demolition of several reservoirs. Spain gives employment rights to domestic workers with unemployment benefits. Spain, the European country with the highest number of scooter users. Ceuta will receive 10 million euros from the European Union to strengthen its reception and asylum system. Gibraltar deactivates its emergency as most of the fuel is removed. Gibraltar plans to reauthorize fishing on the Rock on Wednesday. Swiss firm launches a system of compostable coffee balls to replace capsules. Americas. Hurricane K brings heavy rains to southern Mexico. Hurricane K moves towards the Baja California Peninsula. López Obrador defends the presence of the military in the streets. The US and Mexico deport a new group of 253 migrants to Cuba. Chile's president reshuffles his portfolio of ministers. Boric carries out a thorough reform of his government after the failed referendum. Gustavo Petro and Nicolás Maduro criticized defeat of new constitution in Chile. Colombia rescues crew members of Venezuelan boat sent on fire. Colombian boat was apprehended while fishing in a forbidden zone in Panama. Pedro Castillo faces justice amid a sea of accusations in Peru. Ex-military rebel Antauro Humala will run for the presidency of Peru. Indigenous people in Ecuador call for protection of the rainforest from mining. A program to eradicate malnutrition in Guatemalan communities is presented. USA. Power outages in California Bay Area after emergency declared. Los Angeles School District suffers cyber attack. The biggest credit bubble in history bursting at the seams, says Kinesis Money. As the West shrinks into a monumental credit bubble, the precious metals experts sheds light on the new status of the world's strongest currency. The globalist delusion is coming to an end according to the X22 report. The Davos Forum is now in the process of trying to control the protests, but this will increase as the economic situation worsens. Russia. Rabbis in Russia call for an end to the war in Ukraine. The IAEA calls on Ukraine to establish a safe zone in Zaporizhia to avoid a nuclear catastrophe. Zaporizhia deactivates the last working reactor after a fire. Russia begins a week of joint military exercises with China and India. Russia to purchase North Korean rockets and artillery. China. Chinese parents spent thousands of dollars on growth hormones to make their children grow taller. Cybersecurity expert says China is creating digital twins of Americans. Typhoon Hinamor hit South Korea, causing casualties and property damage. Middle East. Human rights groups condemned torture in Lebanon. Arrests of corrupt individuals have begun in Iraq. There is a large-scale cleanup on the way. Things seem to be calming down with the arrest of corrupt politicians. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.